NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
Tax season is here, which means you've received or are expecting that tax refund any day now, and you're thinking about what to spend it on. How about a new home? With SaveWithConrad.com, we're helping renters become homeowners every single day, and it's more affordable than you think. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need a huge down payment. In fact, you may not need a down payment at all. At SaveWithConrad.com, we take the stress out of the home buying process. We'll determine your buying power. We'll even help you find a realtor. And unlike the banks, we don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. So if you're not ready right now, we'll get you on a plan to be ready. Stop throwing your money away, paying someone else's mortgage with your rent, and start the path towards owning your own home today at SaveWithConrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Be the Man with the Nature Boy, Mr. Ric Flair. And today we're going to be celebrating the late, great Dusty Rhodes. Of course, A&E did a fabulous job memorializing him and his wonderful career on Biography this past Sunday night. If you haven't checked it out, go out of your way to do so. I think it might be my favorite one yet. And there's no doubt that Mr. Rhodes left quite an impression on professional wrestling, one that we're still feeling today on Mondays and Fridays, and hey, sometimes Wednesdays and Fridays, thanks to Dustin. And man, I guess what Cody's saying is right. There's more than one royal family in wrestling, and it's great that we get to talk about him on Ric's podcast here today. Man, you really think about it. Think about that legacy. Dusty with Dustin and Cody, and then Ric with David, Reed, and now Charlotte. Man, the good old days. And when you think about those legacies, you can't think about them without thinking about Jim Crockett Promotions. And who better to help us memorialize Dusty today, celebrate his legacy a little more, than a member of wrestling royalty from another family, Mr. David Crockett. We're going to do a little rewind today, go back a few years, and celebrate the life and times and the memory and the impression that he left that we still feel today of Dusty Rhodes. Here's a conversation between David Crockett, Ric Flair, and myself talking about Dusty Rhodes. We'll be back next week, keeping you up and abreast on all the latest goings-on in professional wrestling. But today, it's for Dusty, right here on To Be the Man. We've got a hell of a guest this week, but first we need to go ahead and send our condolences to the entire Rhodes family. And we've talked about it a lot here on the show in the previous weeks. What a big mentor Dusty was to Ric, and you even kicked around the idea of being Ramblin' Ricky Rhodes at one point, and what a big deal he was in your career and an influence on your life. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking with you about the American Dream Dusty Rhodes.
Well, it's, I'm overwhelmed right now, obviously. And thank God that I got to see him 2 days before he passed and spend some time. And we were just our old selves. He was mad that I was getting to go see LeBron James. Right. And I was, we just antagonized each other. We have our whole lives. But I had noticed a drastic weight loss, and I was with Michelle, and at WrestleMania, and I was talking to her, and they just, she wouldn't admit that Dusty was sick, but I knew that he was, and of course I had found out since that he had been sick for a while, but just close to the family forever. I mean, when in 1972, Dusty took me to Texas. Vern sent me to Japan with those guys, and I was at Dustin and Kristen, his two oldest kids, at their house in Austin, and Dusty had property in bulls, and we rode. I knew nothing about stuff. I guess I'm a Minnesota kid, but we rode the bulls, and just stuff I hadn't learned. And then they took me in the airport in Dallas on our way to Japan and shaved my head bald, and I got over there, and they had a referee cut me when that guy almost killed me, and I got kind of cocky, and I said, this is enough, and they just left me in the building, got in the bus and left me with all the Japanese kids.
Oh, wow.
To ride back to the hotel, yeah. So then they made me carry their bags all for 3 weeks, and Dusty would sit across the aisle from me and sing, Dear John, I hate to write you like my wife wrote me a letter saying goodbye,
Sure.
you know. Oh, I could go on forever, but I just was so mesmerized by him. It drove Vern Gagne crazy that he said, this guy is, this is not what you want to do. I said, well, yeah, it is. And when we got through,
Well, and Dusty said in his book that one of the reasons that you looked up to him was probably not so much the wrestling as it was the beer drinking and hill raising and fun, and you were just enamored with the lifestyle maybe that he had at the time when he was with Murdoch, I mean.
oh, yeah, but if you heard him talk, the first time he talked at TV, I went, God, this guy is tremendous. He was totally different than Nick Bockwinkel or Harley or Larry Henning or Dick Murdoch. He was on top of it, and it just got better. But yeah, we had so much fun. My God, I just got married, and I was driving 300 miles with those guys to town just to hang out with them when I wasn't even booked.
Right.
No wonder Leslie left me about 5 times. I couldn't get enough of the guy. And then I went and bought him, which he alluded to the other day. We went to a country western bar. I'd never been to a country western bar my whole life, right? And I went to a place called not Fink's, but anyway, a real expensive jewelry store in Minneapolis. I bought this gold money clip with a $20 gold piece on it that I did not have the money to pay for, right? And I called him in the bathroom. I said, why don't you know this is how much I think you've been? And he still has it to this day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he goes, you don't have to do that. I said, yeah, I do. I just wanted to thank you for taking care of me and, helping me become who I'm hopefully going to try and be, And then the Ramblin' Ricky Rhodes came later, and then, he went his way, I went my way, and sure enough, back together, and we made a lot of money, had a lot of fun, made a lot of money, and he's got 4 beautiful kids, and I see Teal and Cody and Dustin all the time. I haven't seen Kristen in a year. I'll see her. Actually, I'll see her today.
Right.
Because we're airing today. Today is Dusty's funeral, so I will see Kristen, and I'm close to the entire family. And he was very close to his kids, and he couldn't have been married to a nicer person than Michelle. I called her the other day, and I said. She was upset. I said, well, you need to know something that's really important that a lot of wives I don't think understand and don't hear enough because we seem to take you guys for granted. I said, Michelle, Dusty loved you like nobody else. Dusty knew where to draw the line.
Right.
He would drink beer and have fun and do all that, but he loved Michelle, and that was it. And it was a special relationship, and they've been together 37 years. And 4 beautiful kids, and 2 of them very successful in a business that he loved, as you know. Kristen was a Dallas Cowgirl cheerleader, which he loved. I thought that was so cool.
That is
Not
cool.
Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Now she's married with kids and very happy, and Teal lives here in Atlanta, and she's got kids, and so everything's cool.
And most recently, he was helping your daughter Ashley.
Oh
Charlotte,
my God! Yeah, my Ashley is having as hard a time with it as I am. He just took her under his wing the day that she got to Tampa, and then when they moved over to Orlando, he's been with her, mentored her, talked to her, given her just a ton of support and information, and helped her with so many different things in life, and just awesome. So. It's going to be a long day today, but I'm really, really happy that he is getting his due and that he's getting the recognition worldwide that he deserves because he was that big. And you told me that last night I didn't see it, the pay-per-view, Vince, and the company spent a lot of time, that's what he deserves, and they recognize that, more than anybody else. They know who Dusty was, and Vince will always have a place. And the funny thing is that you can almost say now, and for $9.99, and I'm being facetious, of course, but
sure.
You can see Dusty Rhodes for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff on
And there's
that
a lot of
network.
stuff in it, but and it's not going to go away anytime soon, and it shouldn't.
Well, and the
you
impact.
don't have to go to YouTube. You can find it right there because they will have Dusty Rhodes on that network forever, and that's who he is. That's what he deserves.
Well, that was what we needed to do to start this week's Woo Nation, and we're going to go to commercial, and when we come back, we're going to have a hell of a guest from the old Crockett days, and we'll go to commercial for now.
All right, man.
The Nature Boy is going to take a quick trip on Space Mountain. You better be here when I get back.
Hey, y'all, remember when Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes used to cut themselves and bleed all over the place? You never want to do that, right? That's why you need Henson Shaving. You see, Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has revolutionized razors, y'all. Yes, it's an old-school double-edged razor like the Rhodes and the Flairs are super familiar with, but thanks to their space-age technology, the aerospace-grade CNC machines. Let's be specific. Think about that, y'all. Do you even know what a CNC machine is? Here's what we're talking about. They're able to cut metal razors that are just 0.0013 inches. That's less than the thickness of a human hair. What's it mean for you? It means a secure and stable blade and a vibration-free shave. It's also got built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. I got to tell you, as a business guy, what I am most impressed about Henson is the idea that they wanted to make the best razor, not the best razor business. You see, the best razor business would probably mean you need to make plastic, and you need to go ahead and have some planned obsolescence. Like, well, that's last season's blades. You need this. No proprietary blades, no planned obsolescence, no plastic. And how about this? No gimmicks, no subscriptions. It turns out Henson Razor is just the last razor you'll ever need. It's a standard dual-edged blade, gives you that old school feel, but all the benefits of the new school tech because it's just 0.0013 inches. And by the way, once you own a Henson Razor, it's only like $3 to $5 to replace the blades. Not $3 to $5 a week, not $3 to $5 a month, not $3 to $5 a quarter, $3 to $5 a year. That's right, a year. Let's say no to subscriptions. Let's say yes to a razor that will last you a lifetime. Visit HensonShaving.com/Flair. Pick the razor for you. Use the promo code Flair, and you'll get 2 years worth of blades for free with your razor. Just be sure to add them to your cart. That's HensonShaving.com/Flair. 100 free blades when you head to HensonShaving.com/Flair. That's HensonShaving.com/Flair. And be sure to use our promo code Flair. Seriously, best razor I've ever used. You're going to love it.
We had so much fun in the Carolinas. I mean, I know Dusty liked booking Florida, but the better part of his life was working with the Crockett's. And
we had so much fun.
God, we had
so much fun.
We accomplished so damn much. I mean, you just never, I don't think anybody expected it to get that big. If we had stayed east of the Mississippi, as you and I talk about, we'd probably still be in business. You know what I mean?
Right. The only reason that we started expanding was survival, with Vince.
Yeah.
That's why the TBS contract and I enjoyed staying home, you might say, but then, you hit the road. That's one reason now with my grandkids. I can't make up for the lost time with my kids, but I'm definitely doing it with my grandkids.
Yeah, that's a big issue. A lot of people don't understand it because we were gone all the time, and thank God I had a lot of time with Ashley and Reed because I was in a position where I could take weekends off, and then Eric fired me for a year. So,
well, it's because it's not 5 days a week. It's 7 days a week, 24/7. You're thinking about what you're going to do.
Yep.
You think about different things, pairings, and all right, what's next after this? You've got to do a lot of forward planning.
Yep.
To make yourself viable.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch on Dusty Rhodes, of course. He's kind of at the top of everybody's mind right now, and we can get into as much as you'd like, but there for a long time, you guys enjoyed a lot of success with Dusty at the helm as booker. What did Dusty mean to Crockett Promotions?
Dusty was a bolt of lightning, supercharged. He came in, it was not business as usual. It was fly by the seat of your pants, hold on, because we're just going to go. A lot of videos. If something's not working, forget it. Let's start something else. It was it was a fun period of time for everyone. You know, it was hard, but you know, it was great. You know, I think Magnum TA said it to me when I was talking to him about Dusty. He said, you know, John Wayne's not supposed to die.
Yeah.
And Dusty Rhodes is John Wayne. He wasn't supposed to die. You never thought of Dusty dying. I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, he thought he was going to be around forever.
Yeah, he was.
It's funny you say that. Jim Ross just said a couple of days ago that John Wayne died on the same day as Dusty Rhodes.
I know, yeah.
The day was the same.
Well, and, you know, as big a fan of John Wayne as Jim Ross is, so was Dusty.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, and, you know, he created such a level of excitement. He was so damn creative. I mean, the Starrcade, the Flair for the Gold, I mean, the Great American Bash on time. I mean, all those names are still, nobody uses the name Starrcade anymore or Flair for the Gold, but I mean, it's
I mean, the Greensboro Thanksgiving, we'd sell it out, and at intermission, tickets go on sale for the next one a year away, and that almost sell out. You know, they don't even know what's going to be there. They just knew it was going to be good.
You know, and the thing of it, too, is I don't think anybody understands that we literally, from Charlotte to Charleston, West Virginia, as far as Huntington, right, and Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus.
Those Saturday shows at TBS.
Yeah, all that. And in the
what a riot.
Well, and the reason that the West Coast, in my estimation, didn't click the first time around is the saturation of Turner of TBS wasn't that big then. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was stronger on the East Coast,
correct.
right, David?
Right. Yeah.
Because if we'd had the penetration or saturation, whatever the word is, the TBS has now, shit, we'd still be in business.
Right.
But we kept going out there trying to, you know, stay in the run with those guys, and those guys were on network TV back then, you know, before USA, and they were on NBC with Ebersol and every string in the world going, and we just couldn't. Turner didn't have that penetration. We sold out everything out there the first time we went.
Well, the Meadowlands, look what we did at the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
And that was strictly off of Turner.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I know. No, we did great, but the West Coast was just rough. I mean, we did great the first time. Portland, Seattle, we killed it. L.A., we had 17,000 at the old Forum in L.A. We sold out the Cow Palace. We never went to the Oakland Coliseum, but sold out Las Vegas, sold out Albuquerque. I mean, all those, and parked the jet and went over to the Tropicana and woo nation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, Mr. Crockett, you know, it is timely. It is something that we probably need to discuss. You know, going back to Dusty one last time, I know a couple of years ago there was a documentary about the demise of Jim Crockett Promotions, and off air you and I had a chance to speak before we started taping today, and you told me that you guys had kind of patched things up last year at Fan Fest.
We did. And there again, it wasn't Dusty, it was me. It was me. I was venting, and Dusty was the person I vented at, and it shouldn't have been. You know, that Dusty was doing what Dusty was supposed to do, and I apologize to him for that. That, you know, I should have tried harder to change things, but I didn't. You know, you can get frustrated, and I just, you know, wanted somebody else to blame.
Sure.
Except myself, I guess. But you know, it was great, to see him, and I am so happy that we did have that time, and it was, and also, Rick, you remember when you called me about this podcast, you gave me Dusty, told me that Dusty was, sick. I tried to call him that morning. He passed away.
Yeah. No, I know it was, I had, I called you about the podcast. This before, because I had just left him, but I was talking to you, and he wasn't in the hospital at that point, but he had lost 80 pounds, like 40 pounds, probably 40 pounds since WrestleMania.
Wow.
Yeah, or at least 30. I mean, he just looked like a walking ghost, but he could talk, and his humor was there, and he was mad I was getting to go see LeBron James, and not mad, but we were our usual
joking.
Usual Laker Celtic stuff. Yeah, and that's when I called you, and I said, yeah, by the way, Dusty's not doing too well. I didn't mean he was dying, but I meant he just didn't look good. I mean, when you know somebody so long, you know when something's not right. So
right.
Anyway,
you
David,
can look in their eyes and tell.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, David.
Oh, you're welcome, Rick.
Appreciate it. Stay in touch, my friend. Okay, and as I will with you.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll forward you Michelle's number. Okay.
Please do.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
Man, it's starting to warm up here in Alabama, and I am pumped. Spring is here. Summer's going to be here before you know it. And when it starts getting a little better outside, starts getting a little warmer, I want to start spending more time outside. What I don't want to do, though, is spend my time outside working. I don't want to be digging around in flower beds or messing around trying to get rid of weeds. Nuh-uh. I want to spend my time chilling out. I want to spend my time enjoying, not working. And Sunday is my life hack for doing this. I have to admit, I'm skeptical if this was real. You see, unfortunately, I fell victim to one of those national lawn care companies, and I spent like $1,500 a year. I thought it was necessary. And then I heard about Sunday and thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. I want you to give it a shot right now. Here's what blew me away. I want you to do it with me. Go to getsunday.com/Ric Flair. That's getsunday.com/Ric Flair. I'm going to give you a minute to do that, because when you do, they're going to ask you to put your address in. Man, they got aerial photos of your rig. I'm talking about they can see your front yard, they can see your backyard, they can see your side yard. And if you told me you could see my backyard, I'd think, whoa, that sounds like something I need to take care of. Go look for yourself right now. See yours. GetSunday.com/Ric Flair. What they know is exactly what you need for your lawn. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I do mortgages and podcasts. I'm just guessing out here. So I was paying somebody $1,500 a year to do it. Not anymore. Now with Sunday, I skip the trips to the store. There's no hauling heavy bags. All I need to apply Sunday, a hose. That's right. You can fertilize your whole lawn in less time than it takes to watch one episode of your favorite TV show. Seriously, less than you would spend watching one regular TV show that you would normally binge. Bam, you're done. And by the way, they only use ingredients that you can feel good about. What I'm talking about is no harsh chemicals, no long waiting periods. All you got to do is go ahead and apply. Let it dry, and you're back to enjoying your yard. That means it's safe for your kids and your pets too. How about that? Sunday is not only easier than what I was doing, it's also more affordable. I've mentioned a few times I was spending over $1,500 a year. Sunday's full season plan started just $109. You hear me? Sunday's full season plan started just $109. And right now, Sunday's offering our listeners 20% off. Full season plan started just $109, and you can get 20% off when you go to getsunday.com/Ric Flair at checkout. That's getsunday.com/Ric Flair. You'll get 20% off your custom plan at getsunday.com/Ric Flair.
The tackle on the leg. Flair went right to the leg once again. And now the famous move by Nature Boy Ric Flair, the figure 4 leg lock. Now, considering what has all happened to Dusty Rhodes, the pain has to be just unbearable at this time. Right in the center of the ring, Dusty Rhodes has to stick it out, get to the ropes as best he can. Now, remember, the match is continuing. Flair's leg was on the ropes, as you saw right at the bottom of the screen. Now you see in your picture, beating on the bottom on the mat is Magnum TA. Coming down, knowing that Dusty is in a tremendous amount of pain right now, coming down to try and help his partner, encourage him on. Just standing there in case, something, severe would happen.
Unbelievable that he could stand it for this length of time.
Dusty still in it, still with Ric Flair. As we watch the referee checking with Dusty at all times because Flair has it. Now look at the right hand of Dusty Rhodes.
Trying to turn him, I think, at this point, Tony.
Getting a third, maybe a fourth wind at this time. Trying to call up everything inside of him to turn around that figure 4 leg lock and then reverse it on Ric Flair. Look at Dusty. The fans encourage him on, and here we go, Bob.
And he got it right there.
Turned it around, and Flair reverses again. Turns it right around. Flair grabs the top rope right there, all of his weight down on the leg. And right there, as quick as that, a 3-second count. And Ric Flair is the heavyweight champion of the world once again. As Dusty Rhodes, obvious the pain as Magnum comes in. Just the pain just blocked him out right there as Flair used the ropes coming right down with that figure 4. And for once again, the heavyweight champion of the world is Nature Boy.
All right, Rick, it's August 9th, 1986, and Dusty Rhodes is fresh off his world title win over you in Greensboro just a couple weeks prior to this match. And a couple nights before, Tully Blanchard actually injured Dusty's leg to the point where he came into the match with it heavily taped up. Now we're in St. Louis, and you win the title back with a pinfall from the figure 4 leg lock after cheating to grab the top rope for some extra leverage. And
Now, did you see that? Or is that just an observation you've heard about?
well, I mean, I may have witnessed it. I might have seen it. Is this the first time you won a match with the figure 4 being counted as a pin? Because I don't remember seeing that a lot back then.
It must have been. It didn't happen very often, I can assure you. But it was a great match, and the rivalry between Dusty and I will go down in history as one of the greatest of all time. So, so many great matches, so many great cities that we wrestled in. St. Louis actually worked out to be a great market for us later on, as did Chicago. And it's amazing. Wherever he and I went, we made music and we made money.
Now, you had held the belt for over 2 years prior to dropping it to Dusty, and then you won it back quickly. Why did Dusty only hold the belt for 2 weeks?
I can't answer that off the top of my head right now. I can't remember. But I just think that his schedule required him to spend so much time in the office and not as much time on the road. Obviously, he worked a lot, but at that point in time, the company was, moving fast and expanding, and he probably just elected to he liked having it for a short period of time, but he was, I think he was driven much more by stuff that the creative end of the business.
Just a couple of months after this, Magnum TA, who you heard mentioned in the clip at the beginning of this segment, would have his horrific crash, and it would change his life forever. Had that not happened, what kind of push do you think we could have expected for Magnum?
Oh, he would have been the champion eventually, at one time or another. I was actually in Birmingham, Alabama when I got the news, and flew home, and you can't imagine the horror story. He was in an iron lung. Back then. They didn't have the sophistication of the life support stuff they have now. He was actually in an iron lung, the old metal things, and the only way that he could communicate was with his tongue touching a little liver above it. I was mortified, and actually he didn't move for 30 days. He didn't move. So he's blessed to have, to be back where he is, which is sad enough because he can't move his entire right side. He can get around, but he was a great athlete, a great kid, and had a phenomenal look. So I think he was destined. I know that if Dusty had his way, he would have been the world champion at one time or another.
Over the weekend, I had a chance to see Magnum induct Dusty into the Hall of Heroes in Charlotte, and I had a chance to catch up with your daughter Megan. She was in attendance, and she mentioned that as a kid, she was going to the hospital every day to see Magnum. You would take him every day. Yep,
I did. Yep, I went to see him every day that I had a day off. It was a terrible story. I felt so bad for him, and I went to see him every day, and every spare moment I had.
Now,
you see things like that, just like we see illness now in young people, and it's just so sad. And you thank God for everything that you have.
With this win here against Dusty in St. Louis, you would hold this for better than a year before dropping it to Ron Garvin. Do you suspect that the Garvin spot would have been Magnum's spot had he not been injured?
I would guess. I would say that. Yeah, taking nothing away from Ronnie, because Ronnie was good. Just that Ron was not accepted nationally as much as he was in the South. Where Magnum, I think, had that national appeal, and a traditional, incredibly handsome young guy with an amateur background, and a good kid too. So, but take nothing away from Ron Garvin, hands it to him, man. We had some classics. Good Lord.
Great friend of the show, Bruce Pritchard, once told me that Vince could have made Magnum a huge star. Do you think that would have happened if he would have followed Dusty to New York in '89? Would he have been a WWF champion as well?
he wouldn't have been the WWF champion as long as Hulk was there.
Okay. So as folks may remember, Starrcade 3 was in 2 separate cities. You had a show in Greensboro, and this was the main event from the Omni.
Yeah.
I know that we always say that Greensboro was the spiritual home of Starrcade, but it was still pretty special to be at the Omni, was it not?
Oh, yeah. They were both sold out. Yeah, it was great. It just, Atlanta was always a great wrestling town, but Greensboro was official. It was our Madison Square Garden.
In a match like this with Dusty, obviously this is a different time. These days, maybe there would have been more discussion. Is this 100% called in the ring, or do you guys have some stuff in mind that you've done
No,
on the build for this?
nothing. We don't even talk. Don't they wish they had him again?
Nobody like him. My goodness.
God, I swear to God, not even close.
You know, the famous line from LeBron James with your old interviews was that you were the inventor of swag.
Yeah.
In the 90s, Miami Hurricanes brought a swagger to the football field. In his own way, Dusty Rhodes did that to the wrestling ring, did he not?
Absolutely. He brought so much to the business. I mean, it'll be talked about for years.
Can you imagine what Cody would have been doing this SummerSlam had he not torn
Yeah.
that pec? I mean, what a performance that was.
Yeah, I know, God. Well, he's got his time. No, he's young. He's doing great. I stay in touch with him.
It's worth mentioning, we're actually going to be raffling off your trunks that you'll be wearing for your last match, and the proceeds will benefit the Dusty Rhodes Foundation. They're going to be there in Nashville, and of course, the idea behind that foundation is to give.
Holy shit, leapfrog!
Look at that, dude.
I know.
Oh, now look at you begging off.
That was the best part of my performance. Oh God, those were the days.
What's going through your mind in a big match like this, when you know this is a bigger than normal audience, not just the fans in the arena, but closed circuit around the country?
Back then I didn't feel pressure. I knew that he and I had a very unusual chemistry. We had a great chemistry, but it was different. I mean, it's not like totally different than me and Steamboat or me and Sting or me and who else did I wrestle out? Ricky Morton. I mean, Dusty just had his own style, but it worked for me. We had great chemistry, and he worked his ass off. I did a lot of hour draws with Dusty. People have a hard time believing that. We wrestled a lot of hour draws. He didn't drag his feet at all.
I think your first match against Dusty was like 10 years prior to this, 1975. But here you are 10 years later in the main event of the biggest show of the year. And I think everybody remembers the story that when you were first breaking in, man, you wanted to be like Dusty Rhodes.
I idolized him.
As a fan, as a little kid, I mean, I know there's the professional thing, but part of you has to think it's pretty damn cool to be in there with a guy that you held in such high regard.
Oh my God. I'll never forget our first big night in Greensboro. And he said to me, he looked at me and said, "Relax, kid. Just let the grand opening of Caesar's Palace." Yeah, he was always calm, cool, collected. He loved to be out there just like I did.
When you think about some of the builds to Starrcade, a lot of people think this build, especially with the attack with the Russians inside the cage and all that this was the best build to Starrcade at that point. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. That'd be hard to beat the build with Harley.
Yeah. Flair for the gold.
Yeah. I mean, the first one, the way Dusty put that together, I mean, it just, clearly that was him. See how Dusty right there? I mean, that's all That's a lost art now today.
Do you remember there being controversy about the finish for this match?
I don't remember what it was.
Well, Dusty's gonna quote unquote beat you here, and
Yeah.
everyone in the crowd feels like they just saw a title switch and that Dusty's become the champion. But the next week on TV, it's announced that Dusty didn't actually win because the first referee was knocked out, and you got the belt given back to you. And this is, I guess, maybe the first major quote unquote Dusty finish.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah. No, that people love that finish. They hated it, but they loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, they got their 2 minutes being crazy. Then it did piss people off. People thought I didn't like that. I love that finish.
Michael McClanahan wants to know, what was something you learned from working in the ring with Dusty?
Believe it or not, psychology. I mean, if that doesn't look real right there, nothing does.
Yeah. The idea that you're trying to make every movement count.
Yeah.
Steelers fan 8771 wants to know, coming off the angle in the Omni where you broke Dusty's leg and the infamous Hard Times promo from Dusty, do you think in hindsight he should have won clean at Starrcade instead of 7 months later at the Bash? Probably. I mean, don't you think? Or did you like that teasing?
I can't. Tell me what we did at Starrcade.
Well, what you just saw was, it looks like Dusty won, but
Yeah,
give you the belt right back. So he didn't really win. I think in hindsight, if you had it to do over again, you'd probably keep it on him, right?
I guess. Yeah, I can't remember. You know, I can't remember. Was I still traveling then?
Not like you were before. You know, the territory thing was starting to die down, you know, and
Yeah.
I guess you still were, but not like you were before. 86 is going to be mostly Crockett.
But
Still a bunch of touring, but still Crockett based.
Still traveling quite a bit, though, I think.
Yeah, and maybe that's the reason.
I think the reason was Dusty was the booker.
Yeah.
Why would you leave a job where you're making more money? You know, people don't realize that the first year I had the belt, I made $50,000 less than I made working for Crockett.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't draw any money. Who's Ric Flair? I had only been on a Super Channel a couple times. You know, Harley kept saying
You weren't established yet as a name.
Yeah, and people, I mean, they knew who Ric Flair was, but what does that mean? I mean, let's not run to the arena. And of course, nobody. I have to wrestle all these guys an hour every night, and half of them never wrestled 15 minutes.
Right.
So it wasn't exactly the greatest run of my life. And I really thought I was ready to be the champion. We've talked about this before, but until you go out and travel around and wrestle guys that haven't had, I mean, all I was wrestling my whole career were top guys from Wahoo to Jack Mulligan to Dusty to Steamboat. I mean, all these great guys. And then to step out of that box, that comfort zone, and travel around the country wrestling guys that never wrestled 15 minutes, much less an hour, which was the deal, because when the NWA was in its peak, the champion either got his Duke raised or you won an hour. There was no in between.
So, Cody, let's address the internet rumor that has Reddit going wild.
Okay.
That this is all a big elaborate hoax between Cody Rhodes and Triple H, and it's just an angle to get rid of Stardust, and Cody Rhodes will be back after he drums up some internet buzz on the indies and then makes his triumphant return to WWE.
I can tell you 100% that WWE and myself have gone separate ways. I saw even there was a rumor about like a merchandising contract, and that I think that might have stemmed from the fact that the only discussion post WWE was about my dad's book, and it was very important to me that they granted me the right to write his book before I left. But it was important, you know, I knew that was one of the big risks I was taking with leaving as well. They may take the book away from me. They did not. I'm still writing Dusty Rhodes, Wrestling's Last Cowboy, and I'm excited that at the progress it's taking. I didn't want anyone else to ride it. Dusty was he was my best friend. We were very close, and everybody knows that. And I've tried to kind of do justice to his legacy, as has WWE. Triple H rolled out a hell of a series of things. The statue, the tournament.
Oh my God! Hey,
yeah.
Not to jump in on you, but the.
Oh yeah.
And I talked about it this year at the Hall of Fame, if you remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
I thank the company what they did, which was appropriate. It wasn't like it wasn't unexpected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But they more than
honored his memory.
Honored his memory, and they put it in a position where it'll be there forever, and everybody. It's just one of those special things, and they did pretty damn near the same thing for Roddy on a smaller scale because of the fact that the funeral was, outside of Portland, Oregon, impossible to get to. But and they didn't have the relationship quite with Roddy that they had with your dad. So your dad was, currently working at NXT and all that, and just really part of the family and such a contribution. But boy, I tell you, here's how sad it was. I was getting on a plane. I was so excited to go see the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 6.
Right.
And
of course you were. You tweet about it.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about last year.
Well, you were
I
tweeting
know,
then
but
too.
I feel like when I follow you, most of your tweets are about the Cavs.
Of course they are. Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is. I must have a man crush on LeBron or something. But I'm ashamed to admit it. Anyway, I like him almost as much as I liked your dad back in '72. That's saying a lot. So anyway, I'm sitting to get on a plane with Wendy, and I get a call from Hunter. He said, "Hey, the Dream went." I said, "What?" I mean, I almost fell over. It's one of those things that I had just been with him
a couple days before.
I had just been with him on Tuesday, and he was so pissed that I was getting to go to the game. I was down there visiting Ashley, went by the Performance Center, and he was so pissed that I was getting to go to the game because we've always jealous about sports. And then I got the
Adam Arpin says, "How crucial to the angle was Dusty?" By that I mean, could you have swapped him out with any other top baby faces with how hated the Horsemen were here, and it still work?
No.
Or did Dusty bring something to that rivalry that nobody else could replicate?
He brought something to the rivalry that could duplicate. Because God, we tried, so many different times. I mean, we had, a huge run with Ricky Morton. Not so much Steamboat with that time frame, but I mean, we just anybody we touched, it was big. We had a hell of a run with Ronnie Garvin.
Yeah,
I mean, tag matches with Ronnie, and then of course the Road Warriors. My God, I mean, the list is endless of of stuff we did with the Horsemen that drew money, number one, and made people really happy. But it made us happy because we enjoyed hopefully giving them the best performance of the night.
Well, we just saw that footage and that replay again. Steelers fan 8771 wants to know, coming off the angle in the Omni where you broke Dusty's leg and the infamous Hard Times promo from Dusty, do you think in hindsight he should have won clean at Starrcade instead of 7 months later at the Bash? Probably. I mean, don't you think? Or did you like that teasing?
I can't. Tell me what we did at Starrcade.
Well, what you just saw was it looks like Dusty won, but
yeah,
give you the belt right back. So he didn't really win. I think in hindsight, if you had it to do over again, you'd probably keep it on him, right?
I guess, yeah. I can't remember, I can't remember. Was I still traveling then?
Not like you were before. The territory thing was starting to die down, and I guess you still were, but not like you were before. 86 is going to be mostly Crockett.
But
still much touring, but still Crockett based.
Still traveling quite a bit, though, I think.
Yeah, and
I think the reason was Dusty was the booker.
Yeah.
Why would you leave a job where you're making more money? People don't realize it. The first year I had the belt, I made $50,000 less than I made working for Crockett.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't draw any money. Who's Ric Flair? I had only been on a Super Channel a couple times. Harley kept saying,
You weren't established yet as a name.
Yeah, and I'm people. I mean, they knew who Ric Flair was, but what does that mean? I mean, let's not run to the arena. And of course, nobody. I have to wrestle all these guys an hour every night, and half of them never wrestled 15 minutes.
Right.
So it wasn't exactly the greatest run of my life. And I really thought I was ready to be the champion. We've talked about this before, but until you go out and travel around and wrestle guys that haven't had, I mean, all I was wrestling my whole career were top guys from Wahoo to Jack Mulligan to Dusty to Steamboat. I mean, all these great guys. And then to step out of that box, that comfort zone, and travel around the country wrestling guys that never wrestled 15 minutes, much less an hour, which was the deal, because when the NWA was in its peak, the champion either got his Duke raised or you won an hour. There was no in between.
Guys, let me tell you about something that my wife and I are doing in our real life. I think you and your family are going to love too. I'm talking about HelloFresh and how they've made home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. They really are America's #1 meal kit. What they've done is they've taken all the guesswork out of dinner. Actually, they do lunches and breakfast too, but the idea is I used to hate going to the grocery store because I felt like I would buy way too much. Hey, do I want that one or this one? Well, let's just get both. We wind up with a lot of waste. So what I found is HelloFresh is actually cheaper than going to the grocery store myself. It's also 25% cheaper than takeout. Not only that, they make cooking fun stuff a breeze. I have to admit, my wife and I, we've been in a rut at times where it feels like we're eating a lot of the same stuff over and over. We all get in a routine. Well, what this has allowed us to do, I'm talking about HelloFresh, is get out of our comfort zone, but still feel comfortable with what we're cooking. This is so easy, even I can do it. Their directions even come with pictures. How easy is that? You're going to get pre-portioned ingredients. It's going to cut down on your food waste and at the same time get you out of that rut. What about some fast and fresh pineapple chicken tacos? What about some falafel power bowls? Buddy, a few years ago, I'd have said, I don't even know how to spell falafel. I am intimidated. I can't do that. Now I'm making it in 15 minutes or less. You can too. They're going to keep your taste buds on your toes. They've got 40 separate recipes and over 100 seasonal and convenience items to choose from each and every week. By the way, there's options for everyone and every lifestyle. You don't have to be a pro in the kitchen. They take all the guesswork out. And by the way, when they say HelloFresh, they mean it. The ingredients go farm to your house in less than 7 days. So you know it's fresh. I absolutely love it. It's fun too to do this with your family. This past Friday, we had both the girls in town. We were able to cook all together. Dude, it was so fun. Try this for yourself. Go right now to HelloFresh.com/Flair50. Use the promo code Flair50. Buddy, you'll get 50% off and your first box ships for free. How do you beat that? 50% off and your first box ships for free? That's right. It happens right now at HelloFresh.com/Flair50. Use the promo code Flair50. Make sure you get that savings. Make sure you get that first box free. HelloFresh.com/Flair50. And the promo code is Flair50. You're going to love HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Augie would say, Dusty obviously had some pounds on Flair at this point, but the two of them still had great chemistry. What challenges would occur when Flair was working with larger opponents who maybe didn't have the same in-ring instincts as Dusty?
Well, it's a whole different, if you're wrestling a guy like Brody, you kind of had to do what he wanted to do. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
But if you got along with him, which I did, and he respected you, which he did, then ultimately his goal was the same as yours, and that was to have the best possible match. See here, look at Dusty, man. He's not tired at all.
No. Matt wants to know, with all your matches with Dusty, was this your favorite one?
Oh, it'd be hard to pick which my favorite one. The one I didn't like at all. The one that was bad was with Joe Frazier.
Yeah, that's the year before, 84.
Yeah. No, this actually was a real good match, I thought. But it's hard to say. It's like, was Chi-Town 8 my best match with Steamboat? Well, who knows? We had so many. I thought another situation, great chemistry. Totally different than this, you know what I mean?
When he beat you for the belt in Greensboro in 86, that was pretty awesome inside the cage.
Who, Dusty?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So as you saw there was two moments that happened there that took Tommy Young down. The first was Dusty kicking out of a pin,
Mm-hmm.
and he winds up landing on Tommy, and then he Irish whipped you in, and boom, out goes Tommy to the outside. They have a spotlight on him, but now Dusty's got you with a figure 4 in the middle, but there's no referee, and here comes Arn Anderson.
Oh, kick right to the head too.
Look at Ole circling around. Here are the Sharks, man. Here they come. God, I wish Ole was able to get around these days. He'd have been so much fun in Nashville.
Yeah, what is he just literally housebound right now?
Yeah. There's our replacement referee. False finish, though. Dusty kicks out. There's the inside cradle. Here it is. And look at there. Fans are going to go nuts. I think they've just seen a world title change, but of course the NWA is going to overturn it because the first referee, Mr. Tommy Young, was down for the count, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, but see how these guys hit in the ring makes it seem so damn real and good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at Superstar there.
First one out, man.
Yep.
Hey, Terry, talk about, because I obviously saw you there, what the loss of the Dream means to you.
Being an only child, he was as close a thing as a brother to me that I've ever had. And our relationship that started back in the early 80s down in Florida, transcended, the wrestling industry. I mean, after I had the accident and, working with him and other endeavors and in WCW thing, but just the friendship that we had throughout time, I've never imagined Dusty not being around. And I just seen him, 4 or 5 months prior to him passing away. And I knew he didn't look like himself because Dusty was always a big, robust, guy. And he looked frail for the first time I'd ever seen him. Where I could say, it's good. Everybody say, oh, well, it's good. He's lost some weight. But that wasn't the way Dusty was wired. So something was wrong.
No,
and he said to me that and he said to me, I've got something I thought I was going to be able to take care of on my own, but obviously my Indian medicine isn't working too good. He was telling me because he always liked to think he could, treat everything. He's kind of that cowboy mentality. And I was just shocked. And I don't know if you know this or not, Rick, but he passed away on my birthday. And
is that
I was
right?
coming home. Yeah. I'm coming home from work, and a coworker calls me before it's even hit the news and heard it on something on Sirius radio or something. The Dusty passed. And I mean, I'm freaking out because and it wasn't even on the internet yet. And all of a sudden I started Googling things and checking it out and find out, sure enough, he really did. And I was completely in shock. And then I thought to myself, that scoundrel, I said, now he's going to make sure I remember this every year forever because he died. He passed away on my birthday. And I went down, I was down with you guys in Tampa for that ceremony and everything. It's just, he was like Babe Ruth. He was just an amazing character.
Yeah, he was. And so nobody, I mean, I've told Vince 100 times, they actually gave him his just due, if that makes sense. And now they've got this tag team tournament named after him. And even though Cody left on what looked like bad terms, they worked that out. And Dustin's doing great still. Dustin's working better than he's worked. Well, not better, but he's at the same level he's always been. He's in good shape.
Oh, yeah, he's doing awesome.
And Cody is taking some time off, but Cody will end up back there, and he's making so much money in the independents and working less. He's probably enjoying it. So I talked to Cody
I think
all
it's
the
good
time.
for him to find. Yeah, I think it's good for him to kind of. He wants to find out what he wants to be, because I think he was kind of stuck in a bubble where he wasn't.
He's got too much talent to be wearing the paint and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so he's too young and too talented. Did you see him on the Arrow? Did you see him play that heel character on the Arrow?
I did not, because I don't watch. I watch Sports Center. You know, it's my life.
Yeah, well, I just did it because I knew he was going to be on it, and he was awesome. I mean, he's a hell of an actor, and he came across great on film. So, you know, who knows where he'll end up? He's got it all ahead of him. He's got a beautiful wife, great support system. I talk to Michelle all the time. Everybody, they're all in a good place.
Woo! Woo! Wings, now open for delivery from Uber Eats and Postmates in these fine cities. Delicious anytime, and the perfect meal tonight while you're watching wrestling. Woo! Wings, legendary flavors, World Championship wings. Woo! For a full list of location, visit RicFlairWings.com.
Joining right in the action, Ric Flair WoooooWings. Amazing. Somebody rip me some more. More WoooooWings. Woo!
Hey guys, Eric Bischoff here, and just want to call a quick timeout. I want to tell your listeners about what I've been telling everybody at Over at 83 Weeks for quite a while now, about all the cool things that are happening over at adfreeshows.com.
He created the soundtrack for generations of WWE fans with some of the most iconic themes in history. Legendary composer Jim Johnston sits down with Conrad to take us behind the themes that we all grew up on, including Randy Orton's Voices.
Got your rules and your religion, all designed to keep you safe. But when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. They talk to me. They tell me things that I will do. They show me things I'll do to you. They talk to me.
You know, I wanted it to be a little bit creepy.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. It was dark, mysterious, creepy.
That's just a small taste of what we've got waiting for you with 4 levels to choose from. See for yourself why ad-free shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adfreeshows.com.